These 3 books were absolutely amazing, life-changing, and I really wish I found them way earlier. Money, relationship, friends. I got you covered. So a while ago, I actually made a short on books that I wish I'd read in my 20s. To this day, it still has the most views in terms of shorts on my channel. So I'm guessing that you guys like book reviews. You guys know what to do. Smash the like button and comment in the section below and let me know what you think. Alright, let's get into it. But before we get into the book review, I just like to say I actually don't have any of the physical copies with me because I'm traveling. I'm in Thailand. I usually do my reading on Kindle anyway, or Audible. So apologize for not having the physical copies with me. Book number 1, 7 Principles of Making Marriages Work. Let's discuss this must read for couples, written by Dr. John Gottman. How is this book different from any other relationship books out there? I really love that this book is actually based on extensive research done in a lab instead of other books where it's just based on personal experience or what other people are saying. It provides super practical tools and advices to help couples build a strong, lasting relationship, even if you're not married. These are the incredible lessons that I've learned from this book to improve on my own relationship, and I like to keep it on Google Keep so that I can keep referring to it, because chances are, even after reading a book, you tend to forget what you've learned because you automatically go back to your default, to your habitual self. It's really important to keep reminding yourself of these new things that you've learned and try implementing it more often than not. So that's why I've got it on my Google Keep and I can refer back to it whenever I want to. So I've jotted down 7 bullet points for myself that are the main takeaways for me, and it's around conflict management, which this book explains beautifully. We know that when 2 people come together, they come with their own sets of core values, their own upbringing, then their own EXP and history. When 2 essentially very different people are put together in one relationship, they're gonna clash. There's bound to be conflicts that arises from these differences, and it's just important to know how to work around it. Make yourself see your partner's perspective during a conflict, be it a small conflict or a very big conflict. The next one is trying to have repair attempts. So this is something that I have been actively trying to use in my relationships when we get into arguments. Trying to have a repair attempt, be it a small physical touch or a light sense of humor during an argument, just so that you can break out of that negativity loop, letting the partner know that you still, very much love him. It's just that you guys have 2 different opinions at the moment which are clashing, but that doesn't mean that this will break the relationship. The next point is harsh startups. Blaming and criticism do not help solve the problem, and it's usually a relationship ender. Which actually brings me to the next point, which highlights the differences between complaint versus criticism. These 2 are very different. The effect of each one of them are different as well, and the book explains it really well. Complaint is focusing on the issue, the problem, whereas criticism is blaming the person for causing all the problems. You see the difference there? The next point here is remember your partner's positives, even when you're grappling with their flaws. Always bring yourself back to that, so you're not too focused or honed in on the flaw that you forget everything else that is good about them. The last 2 points are pretty simple. The first one is listen to your partner, not just for the sake of hearing your partner, which I think is pretty straightforward. The last point I've got here is, are you trying to compete with your partner, or are you trying to collaborate with them? It's very natural to get competitive in a relationship when your opinions are different. At the end of it, are you trying to collaborate with them to make this work, or are you trying to compete to see whose opinion is better? Yep, so this is definitely one of the best books out there, I think, because it has such concrete, actionable steps that you can follow, and it gives you really good examples of how couples are going through similar problems as you and how they actually use certain principles to get around it versus a couple that doesn't and falls apart. Definitely a worthwhile book to read because everything is evidence-based, which is what I dig. Book number 2 is about money. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki is a absolute game changer in terms of the fields of finance and how we look at money. This was such a controversial book when it first came out because it really challenged the current social norm and the views around money, taxes, how people view personal finances. The main takeaway message that I got out from this book is actually this diagram here. This pretty much sums up the book, why the rich gets richer. The first thing that really stood out for me from this book is the fact that you are making money work for you instead of you working hard for the money. This is just such a controversial concept that was really hard to grasp for me. The key is to shift your mindset from being a high earning employee to becoming an investor or a business owner. Many people are getting stuck in the rat race and constantly chasing for a paycheck but never really financially getting ahead. This is because there is a caveat in the system. The higher the paycheck is from your employer, the more tax you need to pay. So Kiyosaki actually emphasizes that the key to building wealth and achieving financial freedom is actually to create passive incomes and start investing in your assets instead of relying solely on a salary. Honestly, it's been a real eye-opener for me. I used to think that having a high-paying job was the ultimate goal, but now I've realized the importance of creating multiple streams of income and making money work for me. And I guess that is something that I've been thinking about a lot more lately. Obviously, being a doctor, a physician, surgeon is a very high-paying job, but that also means that I'm paying a lot more taxes. Building wealth that way isn't really making money work for you because you're working for the money. If you don't put in the hours, then you don't get the money. This year, having time off, I'm thinking about what are some passive income streams that I can invest in so that in the future, if things were to go south, or if I decided to take a few years off when I have children so I can spend the first few years of their childhood with them, then there is this passive income in the background that is making money for me while I'm sleeping. It's just such a bizarre idea. Things that I'm working on currently are affiliate marketing. Once the website is there and once it's gained traction, gained traffic, and people are clicking through those links to get to Amazon, then that is making money. Even when you're sleeping, the time zone is so different. So when you're sleeping, they're awake shopping. Isn't that cool? And the second thing I'm working on is YouTube. I guess I don't really dream of monetizing this because I actually do really enjoy making videos. It's the same idea. Once the videos are out there, you've made them and you are able to monetize them once you've hit certain criteria, then the money just keeps coming and it works for you. So you're not actively trading your hours and your time for money. Last but not least, we have book number 3, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is a classic book that has sold millions and millions of copies, and it still remains one of the most influential books on communication and interpersonal skills. I actually got introduced to this book by Titus, my partner, and after reading it I finally figured out why he's so good with people and why people happily do things for him. Okay guys, so the secret to convincing someone to do something that you want them to do, it's never to criticize their work. And this is a quote from Dale Carnegie in the book. Criticism is futile because it puts a person on the defensive and usually makes him strive to justify himself. Yeah, and when you want someone to do something for you, it's never a good idea for them to start getting defensive and feel like their self-esteem is getting damaged by you, because then it's at the door, like whatever you want them to do. So instead of criticizing, Dale Carnegie has suggested to appeal to their interests and desires instead. Here are some of the key strategies that he recommends us to follow. Step number 1 is to begin with praise and honest appreciation of the person's work. So you always want to start off by recognizing something positive about the person. And step number 2 is to emphasize the benefits for them. You want to explain to the other person why what you want them to do will benefit them, not you. Step number 3, you then show them some actionable steps, a clear plan of how they can do it very easily. Step number 4, this is the most important and arguably probably the hardest thing to do, and it is to make it their idea. You want to give the person the credit or the feeling that they've actually come to the conclusion and the idea themselves. So then they're more likely to stick with it. Personally, I really struggle with getting someone to do things my way without delivering criticism to say, come on bro, isn't it obvious that it's not working out? You're not doing it right, just like do this instead. But you can't get anyone on the same page as you if you don't get off your high horse. Those were the 3 books that absolutely changed my life. I have to say, I can't promise that these are the greatest books in the century, but something that I can definitely guarantee is that they made a huge impact on money, relationship, friendship. Those 3 things really changed. If you enjoy these book recommendations, please let me know in the comment sections below. Like this video and make sure to subscribe so you can see more videos like this. See you guys later.